my name is Alex. If you're on this video, you're probably looking for information on speakers, right? Powered speakers, Yamaha speakers. So to my left, I have the Yamaha DBR12, and to my right, I have the Yamaha DXR Mark II, right? That upgraded from the DXR, the first line. So first of all, I have lots of Yamaha speakers. So I have the DHR series as well. I've had Yamaha subwoofers. This is not, by the way, not sponsored video. I also have RCF speakers as well for subwoofers. But in terms of tops, I like Yamaha speakers. So here's a little bit of information about them as you're doing your research and you're looking around to see which ones are the right ones for you. I'd say the DBR is a really good little speaker. So you can, it's really, it's a road-worthy speaker, right? So I've been using these speakers for a number of years now. I've not had any issues with them. So, you know, no issues with them clipping, no issues with them, you know, blowing, no issues with them pretty much on anything. So I use these both as monitors when I'm working with bands. I also will use, this one specifically, the DBR12, I'll use those as monitors when I work with bands. I've used them as a monitor for myself. I often have done actual wedding ceremonies, you know, with filling in an outside area or just you know, inside area as well. It makes no difference. I've used these oftentimes for those situations. They're kind of lightweight, so they weigh about 30-ish, 35 pounds. Rated at 1,000 watts and can hit, I believe, about 131 dB, which is a pretty good amount of dB, right, of decibels. If you are looking, in fact, if you're looking to compare how loud speakers go, people oftentimes look at the wattage. Wattage is a poor indicator of how loud a speaker goes. It's really, wattage just tells you how much power it's consuming. So a more efficient amp is going to do more with less wattage, right? So a speaker that's rated 2,000 watts, or that can handle 2,000 watts, or 2,000 watt amp, it really doesn't tell you what it's actually pushing out, right? So these speakers are rated to 1,000 watts, or the amp is a 1,000 watt amp. It can hit about 131 dB, which is plenty loud. So at this price point, you know, $400, $450 new and about 300 used, I think they're a great value, which is the number one reason I keep on buying these DBR speakers. They're just a great value for the money. I think that they punch above their weight class in terms of their you know, weight class in terms of money, right? They punch above their weight class in terms of performance. So if I were to compare them to, let's say, RCF, right? The K12s, I would not put these up against the K12s, right? K12s are $1,000 speakers. These are less than $500, so less than the price. You can buy a pair of these DBRs for the price of one K12. So these are definitely not meant to go against those. However, in terms of volume, they are comparable in terms of total volume. What you're losing with these, though, in comparison to, like, let's say K12s, which is a very popular speaker, is that they don't have the bass. They simply are, they go about 52 hertz, which still gives you bass, right? Most bass in most dance music that you hear is between 50 and 60 hertz frequency range. So you'll still hear, you know, punchy bass out of this, but it's not going to be like chest thumping type of bass. It's not designed like that. So the QSC K12s get much better bass response than these. Now, QSC does have a lower tier 12-inch speaker, the CP12, if I'm not mistaken, and those price range is still a more expensive speaker than this. Those still get better bass than this, because I think those are rated to like 47 hertz. So it'll still get better bass than this, but it doesn't go as loud as this, right? So for where I use these the most are, like I said, wedding ceremonies where I want to hear very clear highs, right? I'm having people mic'd up, they're talking. I have ceremony music, processional music down the aisle, and these work really, really good for that because they're able to provide nice, clear, crisp highs, minimal distortion, if any, and it works great in that scenario. When I use them as monitors, which you don't want bass on a monitor speaker, these work really good, right? Because I'm not filling up the stage with a ton of bass. In fact, with that in mind, this has DSP, or digital signal processing, or sound processing. And those have 3 settings. You can either turn that off in the middle, have it FOH, or front of house, which all it does is boost the bass and boost the highs a little bit. So it does make it sound a little bit more punchy, a little bit more clubby, so to speak, right? or have it on monitor. If you have it on monitor, it lowers the bass or kills the bass for the most part and increases the highs. So once again, if you're using this as a monitor, you don't want bass on your stage, this works really well. It does have a high pass filter set to a level set to either off, 100 or 120 hertz. So I use this, if I use this for like a party, like a wedding, like an actual reception or something where I need bass, I always pair these with a subwoofer. Or if it's a smaller crowd, I mean, honestly, once again, going back to weddings, most weddings don't need a ton of like earth-shattering bass. So if like I have a smaller wedding, 100 people or so, these work well for that, right? Put it up on a house, and you're gonna get good loud sound in a smaller size environment, right? If I have a large venue, obviously you're gonna move up to like 15s or something more powerful, like it's DXR12s behind me. But for smaller events, outdoor wedding ceremonies, or places where I need a lot of good clear voice and highs, these work really good. They have a nice plastic case or outer body, so can definitely handle some abuse. And they have. In fact, throw this out there, don't drop your speakers, don't throw around your speakers, but it happens, right? So these speakers have fallen, they've dropped, and they still keep on working just fine. I think I only had one speaker that something came loose inside of because it fell, and so I had to take those in for a repair, but it was a quick repair. It cost me about $75 to have the guy change something in the back or inside the amp. So the DXR12s here, Mark II, these go up to like 134 dB, so very loud, right? So you have the 3 dB difference between this one, and 3 dB is a noticeable difference, right? If you have like 130 versus 131, that's not a huge difference in volume, but 3 dB is noticeable difference in volume. So you don't get much better bass response on this. I think it's only rated to about 52 hertz, the same as the DBR. But once again, I always pair these up either with a subwoofer. If I'm doing like a school dance or an environment where they want more bass, pair it with a subwoofer. Otherwise, it goes very loud. It's rated to 1100 watts. So very good little speaker. And as you can tell by this angle, one of the other differences between this speaker and this speaker, besides the fact that it goes louder, is that it also has the ability to mount it at a 3-degree angle. So if, let's say, I'm on a stage, I need to angle the speakers down towards the audience, this speaker, has that ability. The DXR series, all of them have the ability to do that. So differences, in the back here, the DBR has 2-channel mixer, so I can put a mic or line level on that's channel 1. And I can do it's a combo, so I can do TRS input or a XLR input. It does have an RCA input as well, so depending on what you need, right? RCAs, TRS or XLR, mic or line, all that right there. Nice, it comes in handy. As I said, I keep on going back to this one. As I said, I use them a lot for wedding ceremonies. So I will plug in my wireless microphone system up here, set this to mic, and then hook up my speaker, hook up my laptop either through a Bluetooth adapter, or if I don't have that with me, through RCA connection right to here, right? With the DXR, you have 3 lines, right? So with this one, I can do either mic line, right? So it's just a XLR. If I have a TRS, I'm put that in line 2, and line 3 then is RCAs. So you don't have the combo jack system on this one, and you can only connect 1 XLR versus on this one, I can do 2 XLR connections. So in that respect, although you're gaining more volume, you are losing an extra XLR connection, right? I normally get around that by just using a XLR adapter. So I can, take this XLR connection and turn it into a TRS connection, and then have the volume control there. Once again, you still retain the RCA connection. So the DSP is the same. Front of house, off monitor, high pass filter set off. High pass filter is either off 100 or 120. So very similar. Now, as I said, there are some differences in terms of connectivity, what you can connect here versus there. But very similar speakers, both perform very well. And if you are looking for a good affordable speakers, these I forget what they go new. I think they go around $800 new, or $790-ish for brand spanking new. Used, you can probably pick them up for like around $400 or $500, right? So, in my opinion, I bought these new. They're well worth the money. I've also picked them up. I have a few of these, and I've bought those used, right? So, you can get a good deal on some of these speakers if you're looking for something in that range. Anyway, hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Oh, hold on. Honorable mention. DHR. As long as we're talking about Yamaha speakers, let me mention the DHR series. So I've had the DBR, DXR, and the DHR, which is a newer line for Yamaha. So the DHR series is basically the DBR, but retrofitted, right? So the DBR, you're gonna get the same 1,000 watt amp on those. I think very similar components, except that the DHR has a wooden case versus a plastic case, so it's a little heavier. It doesn't go as loud, so it's not rated the same decibel range, and it is going to produce better bass, however. So it can go lower. I forget how low the DHR12 goes, but it does give you more bass. It doesn't go as loud, however. So that's kind of your trade-off between, do I want the loudness, do I need the loudness, or do I want to get more bass? So if you want to have a speaker like the DBR, 1,000 watts, reliable, good little speaker, but want more bass out of it, then the DHR is an honorable mention. I had a DHR 15, actually I still have a DHR 15, which I use on occasion. They're much heavier than these, so that's one of the reasons I don't use it as often. Sounds good, but it doesn't go as loud as my DZR or DXR 15s, and I don't always need the bass, right? So most of the time, if I need the bass, I just have a subwoofer. If I'm outside and I don't want to take a subwoofer, I guess the DHRs are a good system to use, right? So keep that in mind in terms of what you're looking for, what your trade-off is. Do you want it to go super loud? Do you want a little bit more bass? What's your budget? Are you going to plan to use it with a subwoofer? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there as an honorable mention. So as you're looking at your speakers, Yamaha, those are your DBR, DHR, and DXR Mark IIs. Anyway.